What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fixed Fights Podcast, Best Bets Edition. It is Friday. UFC 264 goes down tomorrow night, I believe in front of a sold-out crowd in Vegas. I'm Kurt. I'm joined, as always, by Ben and Bob. We're here to break down some betting for you, gentlemen. How are you?
Really good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this card. I'm pumped for any Conor McGregor card. I feel like there's a lot of good odds here, I think. I mean, we're going to talk about this, but at first blush, like, this card looks like there's several spots that you can make some easy money on.
Those mid-range dogs that if you have an inkling either way or think they have a shot, you could definitely make a lot of money on this card, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, did you guys watch the presser yesterday?
I got like two of the snippets. I got like the ones they post on Twitter, and I mean, Conor's starting to go mean, which I get, but it's not as witty as it once was.
Dude, literally my point. I mean, it was short. It was very short, but Conor.
He was clinical with his smack talk. He would do research. He would say things that he would know would get in your head. It's like he's not really trying, and he's going from 0 to 100 real fast.
It's not. Yeah, it's witty is a good word. It's not as witty. Yeah. It's not as planned and thought out as it used to be. Dustin even called him out for it, but I don't know. I have picked fights in the past based on like body language and this and that. Not gonna do it. But here's a question for you guys. I know that he was the underdog. I mean, at least I'm pretty positive he was the underdog against Khabib. But when is the last time Conor has gone into a fight as a dog? Currently, the odds on Conor, I mean, he's a slight dog, about a plus 105. I see a plus 115 here and there. But can you guys remember the last time Conor was a dog aside from the Khabib fight?
I mean, I'm looking on Best Fight odds now, and I don't think, and they have his odds in Cage Warriors still. I gotta look. I don't think he has ever been, other than the Khabib fight, a dog in the UFC. He opened as plus 100, so technically an underdog against Chad Mendes, but closed in that fight at minus 175.
Oh, jeez.
So I mean, he won the fight, so it's not that crazy. But looking historically, this is, if Best Fight odds is correct, I'm pretty sure this is, other than the Khabib fight, the only other time he's been an underdog.
The closest to that, otherwise, I know he opened at a relatively big favorite against Aldo, but by fight time, it was a near pick'em. So not quite dog, but if I remember right, I think it was like 115 on both sides.
I'm looking at it right now. He opened as minus 180 against Aldo, but closed at like minus 105, so basically pick'em.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. I mean, he was, I want to say, wasn't he like a minus 300 favorite against Poirier in the rematch? And then he goes out there and gets starched, and now it's still a pick'em. So, I mean, it just goes to show you how much faith people have and still have in Conor McGregor. But, I mean, looking at these odds, Bob, what do you think about Conor being the slight dog here? Is that something you want to jump on, or
it might be if it keeps climbing up? Like, I mean, full disclosure, like last time, I think I was on the show talking about it last time it happened. It's like I thought it was going to be not exactly like the first fight, but close enough, because their styles haven't evolved that much to the point that the same things that McGregor was able to do against Poirier wouldn't work again. One thing I was surprised about that I hope he brings back, it's like really the only thing that I think will be the biggest issue, is like he was at his best when he was keeping you at distance and keeping you guessing with kicks and like big elaborate movements. It's like there's a reason that just straight boxing, especially at the lower weight classes, doesn't really work. I mean, it works, but not as like your primary discipline. It's like he used to be able to keep you guessing what was coming from where. Basically, obviously, everything getting you off step so he could hit you with his left. But I mean, he was great at that. But just straight boxing is not a good idea. I didn't think he was going to do that against Poirier. And honestly, he even looked really good in the first round. Like, I had him winning that first round, and then like he just got sparked, and then he was never the same after. I mean, yeah, there were leg kicks there, but he got straight sparked, and he was half fallen down before those leg kicks really started doing a whole lot. But in a weird way, it's like Conor McGregor has just as much chance this time. Like he hit Poirier one of the times, and Poirier was a little bit on queer streak as well. So it's like really either of these guys you get at dog money, it's worth it at some point if you have a leaning either way. Like I love Poirier. I think I said last time I wanted him to win, but McGregor's chances of winning are still there. It's frustrating because like I want Poirier to blow him out. But there's a real chance that McGregor still wins this, and Poirier can sail off into the sunset and sell his hot sauce. So,
Conor
it's good
shit
hot sauce.
on his hot
It's
sauce.
delicious. It is.
Not according to Conor McGregor.
Well, he is wrong. That is delicious
Actually, you know
hot
what?
sauce. I even got my wife to try it. She loved it as well. We call it the fighter hot sauce. It's in the fridge right now.
He is wrong because on one hand he said the hot sauce is shit, and then and another question he also said he didn't try it. So. I mean, what are we doing here, Conor?
He's just shooting buckshot. Just see what sticks.
I know.
He's shooting buckshot, especially he's not like proper 12 Irish whiskey. There's a reason you find that on like the second to bottom shelf at the grocery store. Like what are we talking about here? Like he's not going from a high ground, but on the actual fight, the read on the kicks, man, me and Kurt talked about this a ton. We really zeroed in on what happened to the old Conor McGregor who was bouncing around and using all these wheel kicks and misdirection to lead you into his left hand. It just wasn't there in their second fight. So
because it's also when he would land with the left, you would be off balance from like the kick because you would keep a little bit wider of a stance trying to get away from the kicks so that like you weren't as firmly planted. So when he would hit you with the left, it was just that much more devastating. And I don't know if that's been part of his issue with his I guess KO power kind of translating into the upper weight classes. I mean, and horrible to say, but really all of his finishes at lightweight or beyond has been against relatively chinny competition.
True. A couple props for this fight that are interesting. They have the over-under set at a round and a half. Me and Ben kind of agreed with this on our podcast this week. I think if Conor gets it done, obviously it's probably going to be early because Dustin Poirier is just built for wars and for going deep in the fights. And I think the later it goes, I like it. So, I like Poirier, right? I mean, the over minus 200 at 1.5, the under plus 160 under 1.5. I mean, some other odds, if you like Conor early, McGregor in round 1 plus 350, McGregor in round 2 plus 550, and then, dude, I mean, Poirier in the later rounds, it ranges anywhere from plus 300 in round 3 to plus 2,000 in round 5. Are there any props that you like on this fight?
I don't know. Some of those props are pretty nice because, like, in all seriousness, like he's not. I know that everyone's quoting from the first, I guess, the second Diaz fight, where it's like it's only the rematch 6 months later. All of these things where he was smart and he did went to decision. It's like, yeah, but that was against Nate Diaz, who he just flat out knew he wasn't going to be able to knock out. He knows he can knock out Poirier, so it's still really like it's actually kind of crazy that those odds are that crazy for him in the second round because it's like I think for the last fight I want to say him in round 1 was only like plus 150 or him like in the first 1 or 2 rounds was around that where it's so much higher now. But yeah, first or second round, especially if he's flowing, can be a really big thing. That's when all those finishes happen. I think it was MMA by the numbers did something. Maybe it was even going into the last fight where once he's gotten to all of his finishes are based off one, a knockdown, and he has like 80% once he gets that first knockdown, and second, they're all within the first 2 rounds. Like he has that decision with Nate Diaz, but for the most part, it's like if it gets out of those first 2, he's not getting a finish anyway. So no, actually, I do like those. I don't have a lean either way on the first or second round. Like honestly, like my main thing was, and it's not even the best odds. At certain books, you can get even under minus 2.5 at specific books for minus 150. And although that's a little bit of juice, I would say it's a high likelihood it's going to happen in there because, like you said, it's like he's either going to win the first round after 2 rounds, or he's going to completely fall apart, and then Poirier's going to come on big. And one of your first real like knockouts just happened 6 months ago. I mean, who knows if that's even recovered at this point, or it's just all downhill after this. Like, we won't really know until this fight, so it's kind of hard jumping on it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I feel a little tempted to sprinkle something on Poirier in like round 3, 4, or 5. My official pick on the show was Poirier wins in round 4, just because no knock on McGregor. I feel like I have to say this disclaimer every time, but like he is a guy who falls apart when he gets hurt, right? He is easily finished for that level of fighter. I'm not saying he's not tough, anything like that. But man, I'm tempted. This like Poirier in round 4 plus 1200, Poirier in round 5 plus 2000. Like, it makes me want to sprinkle just a little bit on there, because I do think McGregor will extend himself a little bit longer this time, knowing that like, oh, this guy Dustin can actually crack. Like he's going to be, I think, slightly more cautious, but I'm with you that McGregor needs to get it done early if he's going to get it done. But I could also see him kind of crumbling later in the fight, which we've seen before.
Yeah, we sure have. I mean, a lot to like on this main event. If we shift to the co-main event now, Stephen Thompson taking on Gilbert Burns. Thompson is a minus 151 favorite. The comeback on Burns is around a 1. Actually, that's not my bookies. Some of these other odds have. No, it's pretty accurate. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry. The comeback on Burns is right around like a plus 130. For me, and I think me and Ben both kind of agreed on this. This seems like a really, really tough stylistic matchup for Gilbert Burns. I'm pretty far all the way on the Stephen Thompson train going into this fight. I really like him.
Yeah. Trying to taper how I say this, because like, I'm incredibly bullish on Stephen Thompson in this fight, but I'm nervous that I'm overlooking something. Like, to me, I think he actually opened at a slight dog and was at like, I was waiting for it to tighten up because I actually thought it was going to go down. I got it at minus 155. I put a decent amount down on it because I saw it creep up and then come back down. But to me, I think like these odds don't make sense to me. Is more the reason. Like, I would see him as a minus 200 favorite, easy, because he has fought this style of fighter forever. Like a guy that's going to come straight at you, throw power, and shocker, Stephen Thompson is fighting. So now there's pictures of his opponent training with Raymond Daniels. It hasn't worked in the past. It's not going to work now. It's been happening for years now. They're a completely different style of fighter at this point, as much as they can do both. But other than a first round, Burns going straight ahead and throwing some serious power and getting a finish, it's really my only worry. It's the main reason I'm not completely unloading like all of my money on this fight, because that is a possibility. But I just see him styling on him for the better part of 3 rounds, just moving laterally and making him pay as he comes in until Burns starts to get tired. And Burns, I do really, really like Burns, but his run itself has, other than the good shot he won against Kamaru, for the most part, it's like he hasn't really. It's the blown up lightweight syndrome. He hasn't really beat a true welterweight for the most part. I mean, I understand there's like some people that he's beaten there that are just like tail end of career type wins, but like I'm talking like a really good high caliber welterweight at the highest portion of it. Like he beat Woodley when Woodley was done. He beat Maia when Maia's been on his way out. That was probably his most, like, the one that blew me away the most. But like all the other ones, I mean, Gunnar Nelson isn't a true welterweight, regardless of what he says. And his best chance was the ground, for ground on ground. It's like, I think that Stephen Thompson has fought this style before. He knows exactly what he can do. As much as it's jiu-jitsu kickboxing versus wrestle kickboxing, but he's fought that prototype a million times, and he comes out with the decision every time. So I have borderline a reckless amount of money on Stephen Thompson at this point.
Dude, I'm with you.
Yeah, we're all 3 of us are on the same page on this. Like, for sure, me and Kurt on the podcast, we're both like, what the fuck? Stephen Thompson's going to jab his face off. If Kamaru Usman could do it, Stephen Thompson's going to jab his face off too. Love Gilbert Burns, but I'm like, you scare me a little bit, because I'm with you when like, am I missing something?
That was my point. When I saw the odds, I'm like, yeah, I'll sweet Stephen Thompson. I'm never going to bet him because he's going to be like minus 200. Then I saw the odds and I was just like, I for sure am either missing something or everyone else isn't paying attention, or the fact that Gilbert Burns landed one hard shot on Kamaru Usman has everyone thinking he could do the same thing with Stephen Thompson.
I mean, maybe the 6, what was he on, a 6-fight win streak? The jab to Usman, the 38-year-old Stephen Thompson. I don't know, but these ones, these odds kind of confuse me as well. I mean, Thompson, if you think Thompson's going to get him out of there, he's like a plus, 300 to get him out of there. If you like him by decision, he's a plus 160. I like a lot of these odds in this fight, honestly.
Yeah.
And I like them all for Thompson.
Yeah.
If we look at the rest of this main card, the fight I think we should talk about is the Sean O'Malley Chris Matino fight, right? I mean, Sean O'Malley is coming in as a minus 900 favorite. Me and Ben talked about it on our show this week. It's like everyone was bugging out about Chris Matino getting this opportunity, but if you look at who Sean O'Malley was going to fight, Louis Smolka, I mean, you can't tell me that Smolka and Matino are far different at this point. They're probably relatively close to the same level. I mean, I'm sure the odds would have been pretty damn close. I mean, is this a fight where Sean O'Malley is going to style on Chris Matino, or do you take a stab and throw maybe like a $5 bet on Matino at plus 600, or are there any props that you like for this fight?
I mean, if you want to be able to say that you bet the underdog when he wins for one like this, yeah, throw $5 on it. But and I will agree though that, like, no offense to Louis Smolka, because he looked like he was on the verge of being a world beater for a brief amount of time there. But like, this is a similar caliber of opponent. It really is. So at that point, if you're comparing those, then these odds are substantially off, especially because I've never been high on O'Malley. I don't think he necessarily, he can throw straight punches. He doesn't have the biggest power. All his finishes have, again, come against people that have borderline negative chins. Like, I love Eddie Wineland, but dude's not there anymore. Like, he was one of my favorite fighters back in the day, but like he can't take a shot to the chin whatsoever. And I'm sorry, I just keep laughing. One of my friends on Twitter sent me a picture of, I don't know if it's the one they're using or if that's how he looks now, but the Chris Matino with like the green on top, and it looks so stark, the lines and how he looks in the face. I just said, I'm like, he looks like if Louis Gaudino and Chris Holdsworth had a kid. He just got like that perfect combination. But, well, actually, if he was that kind of fighter, I would pick him in a fight.
That is a deep cut of MMA names right there.
I know why I came into
That is very
Louis
true.
Gaudino has not been around for a minute. But and Chris Holdsworth, well, he just started fighting again, so I guess he'll be more relevant soon. I wanted more than anything in my entire life for this to be against Ricky Simon or Simone.
Yes.
However we're saying this. I don't care if he had to cut weight in like 4 days. I was going to be all on Ricky Simon here, and he was probably going to be a pick'em, and it was going to be. O'Malley wouldn't do it, and O'Malley says that no one's ever offered him a ranked opponent and whatever. I'll put it this way: I want Chris Matino to win, and I might just put a spite bet in there for straight. But like, I would probably say it would be inside the distance. So like, obviously he's already a ridiculous underdog at this point at plus 610 in some places, plus 500 in others. But if you get him inside the distance, I think, where did I see it? The closest I've seen is plus 700, 800, depending on your book. It's like, or plus 860 is the highest it can go. It's like yeah, throw a couple bucks on there if you want, and you're going to feel amazing when, I'm going to say if, because obviously when is a little bit more.
I mean, I'll be totally honest. I feel like there's value on Chris Moutinho there. Like, yes, he's a big underdog, but like
at the plus 600 plus, or for the finish, that's ridiculous.
What if he touches Sean O'Malley's like plastic IT band or whatever the fuck is going on with this leg?
Exactly.
He checks a kick and wins.
Yeah.
This is also
he throws a leg kick and his entire left foot falls off.
Yeah. This is a new opponent for Sean O'Malley too, right? You cannot discount that. Chris Moutinho is like a gamer running on fucking Dunkin' Donuts, whatever they have in the water up there in New England. Like, I don't know. I think if I was actually going to line this fight how I think it is fair, I would put Moutinho at like plus 350. That's
fair.
Value
that's fair. Yeah, O'Malley would be at like the plus 275 or so at open. Or sorry, minus 275 for on the O'Malley side. It's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. That seems legitimate. So it's like, yeah, these odds are ridiculous because O'Malley has a name for some reason. Because he smoked pot once with Snoop Dogg, and he dyes his hair and tries to look like Machine Gun Kelly, and holds his baby while he talks about how he's too mentally strong to get addicted to heroin. These are things this man does, and it's all going to fall down someday. And it would be fantastic if it was tomorrow.
It may very well be. Honestly, dude, a lot of these odds and a lot of the juicy odds, and even fights, are on this undercard. This is a really really good undercard. Right? Honestly, the fight I want to talk about first, Ryan Hall, Ilia Topuria. Ryan Hall is coming in at around a plus 200 underdog. Come back on Topuria is minus 250. Those odds kind of surprised me as well. I figured it would be a little bit closer to a pick'em, but again, I feel like this is probably one of, if not the toughest fights to call on this card, just because I have no idea how the hell this is going to look. Ryan Hall does so many things differently than than pretty much everybody. Do you have a solid read on this one?
As a solid read, no, only because I don't have enough like legitimate competition type fights to watch for Topuria. But what I will say is I think the odds are a little bit ridiculous. He's gotten a little bit hype going. A lot of the Georgians have started getting a lot of hype at the betting window, which I'm not 100% sure of. And Ryan Hall is a difficult matchup for most everybody. And you can't tell me Topuria, someone who seems fairly confident in his ground game, given by his record and some of the fights that he has, that this couldn't be like prospect sub time. This is like it could absolutely be, and like if anyone's going to do that, it's going to be Ryan Hall. It's like this kid's undefeated. He's going against this is going to be his best competition he's ever fought. And you can say what you want about Ryan Hall's competition because his has also been fairly questionable, regardless of the names that are on there. But he has just an awkward enough fighting style that at near plus 200, it like if it's a pick 'em, you stay away completely. Like I'm not even
agreed.
If Topuria is a slight favorite, you stay away, whatever, it's not a big deal. It's starting to get to the like that just disrespectful line category where plus 200 for Ryan Hall, a guy who's competed for a long time, is a wizard on the ground that people seek him out to train him versus a relatively young guy who isn't a veteran yet and hasn't gotten that sub loss. And all prospects need their sub loss. This very well might be it. So I haven't bet it yet, but I think I've seen some spots. It's not open everywhere, but Ryan Hall, even by submission, is like plus 350. So I'm debating if I want to be greedy and throw a little bit on that, or maybe a little bit by just him straight. But especially if he stays at plus 200 time, probably by fight time, I'll have at least like half a unit on it, just a little bit something to play with, especially if maybe something earlier in the night I do well on it and have a little bit of money towards it, just throw on there because I think that line is way off.
You're making me feel better about it. I thought I was just being a jiu-jitsu homer riding with Ryan Hall.
And you know me, I do love jiu-jitsu, but in terms of the nuts and bolts, I am not there with my knowledge. But just watching Hall, he is a very difficult, frustrating matchup, and any young fighter fighting a difficult, frustrating matchup is going to rush forward or do something stupid. And just to engage, because that's their only way they've won in the past, is engaging and moving forward. They don't know how to play the controlled game, and that's where Hall's going to get him, if he's going to get him.
Or on the flip side, Topuria, who's an excellent striker, worrying about Ryan Hall's different entries and everything, is going to play too conservative, and Hall's going to be able to pick him apart with kicks, enter into his legs. I really like this plus money on Hall.
It could be a super boring decision where literally they stay 10 feet apart, except for occasionally when they get close and Ryan Hall lands a leg kick and then immediately scoots away. It's a very real possibility. And he's willing to do that because he knows that will get him a win. He just wants a win. Whereas Topuria wants a finish. Hall wants a win.
Agreed. Hall by decision plus 500. Hall by submission plus 250. So there's a lot of juice on Ryan Hall.
Those are nice.
Wrapping up here. Any other underdogs in this card you like? Any parlay advice?
I love Nico Price like you wouldn't believe because I do not think Pereira has been a little bit more conservative in his last fights. Price will allow him to be. Yes. And I'm sorry, if you're going to be crazy against someone who has crazy show-stopping power, it's Nico Price. And at a dog money, I think it's already up to plus 140, plus 155 spots. I got this at plus 135. I thought it was a steal then. I only have one unit on it because obviously it's still Nico Price. Pereira is the all-around better fighter, but I just think he's going to make him go wild again, and Price can finish in a wild exchange. My money's on Price. And at some point, he is going to learn the Conor McGregor shoulder punches, and with his daggers of shoulders, he's going to cut his head off. If anyone hasn't seen a picture of Nico Price, look it up. For some reason, it looks like he has a pyramid on both shoulders, and once he learns how to strike with those, he's going to win. But I already have a bet on Price here, and I love him in this spot.
That guy is pure box body up here.
It is
just
crazy.
Straight out, like pointy shoulders to the max.
And then in terms of a fairly safe parlay piece because it's a little bit too high for me to place race. I actually do like Brad Tavares against Akhmedov. Or if you want to go him by decision, that's also a solid one because him by decision is plus money. It's not great plus money, but it's obviously better than where he's at. So if you're feeling solid on that one is good. I want to stay away from the Maya Ai fight because I was super high on Maya for a very long time, and she's really let me down a lot in the past, and I know I perpetually discount Jessica Ai. I was really high on her in Bellator, and the moment she went over to UFC, she just failed me enough times that she got kind of on my shit list. But we were talking about before, apparently Aldana missed weight. I wasn't aware of that, but I do think that she has a high likelihood of just boxing Kunska's face off for the larger part of 3 rounds. She's a slight favorite in that spot, and then I'm staying away from this one just because I know I have a weak spot for this man, but I do like Carlos Condit in here. He doesn't have the finishing ability, but he's still fairly technical, and as long as Griffin wants to strike and doesn't try to factor in too much wrestling, Condit's got a shot. And I know that is 100% a homer pick for me on Carlos Condit. I love Carlos Condit. I have lost a lot of money loving Carlos Condit. Although I will say, I pulled my head on this. When he was going against GSP, I picked him against GSP because I said he was GSP enters and he can get hit with that high kick. And I thought Carlos Condit was going to get him with the high kick and finish off. And as it happened, I felt like Nostradamus. I was about to celebrate it. It only lasted 10 seconds, and then it was done. But
I think GSP went on the record saying like that was one of the times where he was in the most danger in his career.
2 times I lost money on Carlos Condit where I bet a ton was I had him straight in that fight because he was a big underdog, him by finishing that fight because I thought I was going to finish, and then I had a really big bet on him against Robbie Lawler, and I still say he won that fight. I don't care.
But yeah, give him back for the Diaz fight because he lost that fight.
Yeah.
All right. Any other things you guys want to talk about, or you think we hit it all on this card? Such an awesome card, honestly.
Hardy Tuivasa is going to be sloppy, so if you want a great sloppy heavyweight fight,
I hope so. I hope it's sloppy. I hope it's sloppy and not. I feel like Greg Hardy is kind of. He's obsessed with like he was sloppy earlier, and now he's showing passive Greg Hardy. I hope it's. I would rather it be sloppy than them trying to like tit for tat.
The hard part is he throws straight punches. Tuivasa comes forward, so he's going to get hit. But he can press his big body against Hardy long enough in the first round. And if they can get past a round and a half, which, I mean, if Hardy's going to win, it's probably going to be in the first round. If it gets past a round and a half, it's going to be so sloppy. In the best possible sloppy way, you're going to see sloppy takedowns from Tuivasa. Maybe you're going to see Hardy, tap out because he gets tighter later because, the whole asthma thing. He's going to use his illegal inhaler and then get, superpowers. And then it's going to be fun. It's not one I would ever bet on because it's ridiculous, but it's going to be entertaining as all get out.
I just want to see the Shoey, man. Shoeys are great.
He's got to get a win for that, so he's just got to
that's
first 5 minutes of fury.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you. We appreciate you guys listening. We hope to win y'all some money this weekend. Hit us up wherever you watch the podcast, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud. We're all over the place. Talk to y'all soon.